Hi there, in this video I'm going to use SPSS to generate a couple of figures that you can use to look at the various distributions, the percent distribution, the frequency distribution of nominal and ordinal variables, generating histograms for continuous variables, and generating boxplots for continuous variables. So we're going to start off by pointing out that we are using SPSS, and we have open a data sheet right now of the data from the General Social Survey in 2006, which was a survey of adult Americans, asking them about a number of different social issues. So to get started building our graph, you can see we have the variables that were involved in this data set. And we're going to go up here to Chart Builder and select a particular variable to start looking at. So I'm going to come down here and select this variable, which is the respondent's highest degree. So it's their school degree. That's the variable I'd like to use. And you can't do anything first when you click that variable because you haven't selected a type of graph you'd like to make yet. So you can come down here to the graph gallery. Selected right now is the bar graph, and we'll select a simple bar graph. Drag that up into the gallery, into the preview area. And now you are free to select the variable that you're interested in. And if we want just a simple bar chart that calculates frequencies, you drag that nominal or ordinal variable down onto the x-axis until it is highlighted, and then release. It begins to give you a preview of the categories that are available for this particular variable. To modify your chart specifically, right now the default is that the count of the number of individuals in each of these categories serves as the y-axis, but you can see over here on this element properties window, you can select that you would like the bar height to be representing the cumulative count, the percentage count, the cumulative percentage, or several others. Let's pick the percentage and select Apply, and now press OK. We now have the SPSS output window in which a number of the commands that are executed to generate this window appear, and the graph that we've selected comes up below. You can see the various categories of the highest degree of schooling completed in order from below high school to completing high school to completing a junior college to completing a bachelor degree or graduate degree, and the percentage of individuals that were in each of these categories is represented by the bar height. A very simple percent frequency graph. If you had wanted the true frequency, you could have left it as count, and you would have had the frequency bar graph. Again, as usual, if you wish to put this into a Word document or any other document, you can simply select it by clicking on it, then right-click it to copy it, and then simply paste it into whatever document you'd like to use. Let me now show you an alternative bar chart that you can make. Again, you come up here to Graphs, select Chart Builder, and we'll keep with the respondent's highest degree as the variable that we'd like to know particular categories of, but I'd like to also cluster that by the sex of the individual. There, it took me a moment to find it, but now we have respondent's sex. If you hover the mouse over the variable name for a moment, when you have very long variable names, it does eventually pop up. So now if we drag this respondent sex over here to cluster on X and set color, now you can see that you will get different bars within the category of highest degree completed for each of the categories of this cluster variable. This time we'll leave the variable as count so that we can just see the raw counts in each category, or we could select percentage and then decide that we would like to calculate percentages based on each value of sex. Let's do counts first. Oh, I'm sorry, I've left that as percentage. Let's do counts first and apply counts. Generate, say OK. And now we have the bar graph. And as you can see in this bar graph, now the same percentage of the same total number of individuals that did not complete high school is now broken out into the total number of males that didn't complete high school and the total number of women that didn't complete high school. Whereas now in the completed high school, you see that you have more women completed high school than men. But of course, this may be influenced by the total number of men or women that responded to the survey, so it may be a better idea to look at proportions within group. So let's go back and alter our display very slightly. And now instead of count, we'll calculate a percentage, and we'll calculate a specific percentage. Do we want it out of everybody in the study? Do we want it out of each particular high school category? So in the people that graduated high school, what proportion of them are men or women? Or do we want it for each category, or do we want it as a proportion of all women, how many of them graduated high school? Let's select that, and we can look at the output. And I'll explain that again. We now have a percentage frequency chart, and since I selected percentage based on the category, now the bar height represents, of all women, what percentage of them graduated high school, just over 50%. But you can see now that we're calculating a percentage of women and a percentage of men, now the percentage of men that did not graduate high school is now higher than the percentage of women, whereas when we just looked at the counts, the women was higher. So this is an easy way to essentially calculate row and column percents that you might do in a contingency table or a cross tabulation and present those numbers graphically in an easy to digest format. Now let's generate a histogram for a continuous variable. Again, you come up to Graphs and select Chart Builder. We would like a bar chart, and we'll come up here and select Age of Respondent. And again, you can simply drag it and replace the existing variable that was highest degree, and now we'll get a histogram, and immediately you see, because this is identified as a continuous variable because of this ruler, SPSS has decided that this is a histogram and no longer a bar chart. We can also specify some characteristics of our histogram in that it can be a histogram of counts or a histogram of percentages. Let's do percentages, and we'll see how SPSS automatically bins our counts, or bins our age of respondents into bars and does the appropriate frequency percentage. Or, in other words, the percent frequency or the relative frequency. So you can see the distribution of your values across the entire range of ages. A similar graph would be a bar chart, which should tell us something similar. To do a box plot. To do a box plot, you come down here, select box plot from the type of graph, drag it up into the preview window, and then select the variable that you'd like to see. Do we want to put the age of respondent in the x-axis as we did with the bar chart, with the bar chart and the histogram? No, remember in this case, the y-axis, because this is a vertical box plot, is where the variable of interest belongs, so that you have the minimum, the quartile, the median, the maximum, the values of the age going vertically this time. We can also include a categorical variable as the x-axis, such as the respondent's sex, and get bar charts for each category. If we don't want the sex, we can take it out and we'll simply get one box plot. So this is the age of the respondent and the various 5-number summaries that might pertain to your particular variable. To generate side-by-side box plots for particular categories, we can identify the variable that we would like to categorize our continuous variable by, such as respondent's sex. Drag that to the x-axis, and we now have the box plot for men and the box plot for women separately. And as usual, any of these figures, you can activate them by clicking on them, right-click, select copy, and put them into whatever word processor you might be using. So that's a quick introduction to doing some bar graphs and box plots for ordinal and nominal and continuous variables.